Now, let's set the tone proper. Across Africa, young people are rewriting the rules of love and partnership by reshaping marriage traditions, feminist ideals, and cultural expectations. From debates on whether women should adopt their husband's surname to conversations about gender roles, equality, and power couple dynamics, relationships have become a mirror of broader societal change. Now, the marriage of, let's say, Temi Otedola and Afrobeats star Mr Eazi, for instance, recently reignited discussion on what it means to balance love, identity, and independence in the 21st century. So, are modern unions truly becoming partnerships of equals? Is choosing not to take a husband's name an act of resistance, or simply a reflection of individual freedom? And how do celebrity marriages influence the aspirations and expectations of young Africans navigating love in a rapidly changing society? So joining us this afternoon to, of course, give us the answers to these questions is Olive Chiemerie, who is the founder, Guinea Kanwai. And of course, she joins me from Lagos. Olive, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Of course, it's nice to have you around too. And we also have Deborah Omotara, who is a community manager and coordinator, No Code Africa. She joins me from Ibadan in Oyo State. Deborah, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so as much as we would love to connect with Deborah, we'll just wait, even as we get our engineers on that, and start the conversation with Olive. So, Olive, let's start this way. Does a surname still hold relevance and value when it comes to defining love and commitment?
Does. The answer to that is yes. So the name is what you're born with. As a man, as a woman, a boy child, a girl child, you come into the world, they call you a name. They give you a surname. It could be your father's name, it could be your mother's name, or any name at all. What matters is the name that you have been given to do life with. I have a problem with the women's name being something that is just temporary, something that is just a placeholder. So, it doesn't matter. Don't worry, don't think too much of the name that you've known all your life. One man makes you his wife, we're just going to get a brand new name, whether it's a name you like, a name you're comfortable with, or whether you're not even, you don't like it that much, it doesn't matter. It's supposed to be a good thing, such a privilege to have someone offer you a brand new name, especially in our part of the country, right? In Africa, marriage is still a very big deal. Women still want to be married. Men still think they are doing women such a big honor by bestowing marriage on them. So your surname is a very big deal, and changing it is a very big deal. And what young feminist women are advocating for right now is for more and more women to keep their surnames. It's your identity. Why are you changing it?
But don't you think that the surname of the man or the husband in this context is also part of an identity that you can or should adopt?
Why won't have to adopt a new identity? What's my own identity? These are the questions that we want more and more women to keep asking. What is wrong with your name? What is wrong with who you are? You can be married, of course, legally, culturally, be married and still retain parts of you that make you who you are. I'm an Igbo person, and if I marry a Yoruba person today, it doesn't automatically make me Yoruba. It doesn't automatically mean that I will no longer be Igbo. So it means when you move from the name you've had all your life to a brand new name, if you think about it, are you also going to move everything else that you've always had to another thing just because you changed your legal status from single to married? These are the questions, because more and more women are not thinking about this. When it comes to marriage, there's this huge, what's the word? It's such a big deal. Let me say that once again. It's such a big deal. It's a very big lifestyle change. But for someone like me, I'm trying to have a conversation around it's not being that big of a deal anymore. Marriage for me should always be something that you just tick off. Okay, yeah, married, tick. The way you tick, bachelor's degree, tick, master's degree. It shouldn't be something that is so life altering You are welcoming somebody else to share your life, but that is where it should end. Just that. You know? Do you know what the stress it involves to change your name when you're a married woman? Ask anybody around you who's a woman who got married. It's horrible. But women go through all of this just because they want to go, okay, yeah, missing somebody. Please.
So are you not saying there's something disturbing as regards what the African culture actually presents in terms of traditions and beliefs, that when a woman is married to a man, then definitely our identity should convolute, so to speak, and be shrouded in the identity of the man? Are you saying the African culture is flawed in that line?
Don't be right. What is African culture? African culture has never been a woman taking a man. That is the colonial import. To be very frank. I mean, well, let me keep this as an example. Before Christianity, before colonialism became a thing, when a woman marries in Igbo land, she moves from being somebody's daughter and becomes somebody's wife. What you will now say is, this person, from what person move to Munye, this person. That's just what it means. You don't stop being what's it called, your father's daughter in Igbo land when you get married. And surnames are not a big thing in Africa before, in pre-colonial Africa. Surnames are because people, Christianity came in, the Western concept came in, you have to go to work, you have to register a birth, you have to do this one. So who are the parents of this person? This name that this parent of this person go by. So this person has to go by their parents' name, right? That's why surnames became a thing. Africans did not have surnames. So this is not African tradition. And when people, when this conversation was going on online, one of these people told me, like, this is what it means to be African. We are African. It's laughable that we don't even know what it means to be African anymore.
But there's always a way to identify maybe a person with its lineage, with maybe a compound name that identifies them, and every single person that comes out from that particular compound or lineage is identified by a name, and that is the name that the man, who one would say is the head of that family, carries. So automatically, every other person becomes a part of that man. So how is that not an African thing that identifies, the African name with, the importance attached to the person's surname?
Describe is clan. What you don't describe is not just household, because, like I said, in pre-colonial African societies, everybody went by their own name. So you just say, this is somebody's wife, this is somebody's husband, this is this person's son, right? That is not a surname. That is you describing that person based on who they are related to or what family they come from. So if I have a patriarch, typically, like you just tried to explain, but that is not what it means to have a surname. And I can just call you your name. The day that you were born in Igbo culture, that's what most people were named after. And then you can change your name. When if you don't like it, you change something that maybe you do one great thing, or maybe you do one big thing, and suddenly you become Ome that thing, the person who does that thing. Names have always been something to explain, not to own, or something not to ascribe in pre-colonial Igbo style. I'll speak for Igbo society because that is the one I'm very concerned with. But to bring the question to now and trying to make that an African thing, the whole surname thing, it's not, to be very frank. It is not, it's never been a thing. We can say that, okay, how do we make it, make sure that what we are saying right now, the name change, the name thing, how can we make it so that it does not clash with the modern society? Because we can't go back to not having a surname, right? This is the point where it says that you just keep your name, no worry, no, don't stress. Just go by the name that you've always gone by all your life.
All right, okay, so let's look at it this way, Olive, and continue to do a comparison between the foreign culture and African practice. Now, is the essence, success, or failure of a married couple determined by what name they choose to adopt? Either the name of the man or the woman retains her name. Does it actually guarantee whether that home will be successful, would fail, or would lose its essence?
You know, but like, we like to make big deals out of really small things in this country. Like that debate was very interesting to me because everybody made it seem like if a woman does not take her husband's name, that marriage is doomed to fail. I know a couple, they got married and both of them took each other's name. So the woman went from Chamaka, her father's name, and then hyphenated and took the man's name. And the man went from Emeka, his surname, and then added the woman's name. People do that, you know. It's not. What I hate is the presentation of a woman changing her name as the most logical thing in the world. It could be tweaked. It could, you take my name as the man. Why can't you do that? Who's gonna fight us if you do that? But of course, it's automatically assumed that when you get married, you take your husband's name. And everybody just sort of goes haywire if that doesn't happen. Like, you've broken some really huge rule. How dare you do this? You know? So my argument for that conversation that went viral, especially because of the feminist conversations, if you are very conversant with online discourse, you would know that some things are like a huge blow to certain movements. So that was what my issue with that was. Nobody is saying don't do this thing, right? I mean, Temi Otedola, for instance, like we're talking about, she took her husband's name, and that's completely fine. She can do that. The problem now becomes that it has given this stamp, because women are trying to say that anybody can keep your name even when you are married. But a woman as powerful, influential, and rich as Temi Otedola, taking her husband's name, what it says is like, okay, if she can do that, why can't you do it? Who are you? Who's your father? If this person's child can do this. So what that is a huge blow to the feminist argument. Because now we have guys who are telling us that, okay, so if you never can change your name, I want to marry you, say you will not change your name. I know now. It's some big town.
So probably you're saying that it has to do with if, the woman's home or family is influential or rich or has a reputation that probably might be soiled or belittled, so to speak, if she decides to take her husband's name. But then, Oliver, I'll pause with you for a while and bring in Ogunmola Mojolaoluwa, who is a social media manager and digital strategist. He joins me from Ibadan. Thank you so much, Ogunmola. It's nice to have you around.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here today on this wonderful show. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to believe that you did hear a part of what Olive said as regards if it is really necessary for...
I joined the discussion.
Of course, for a woman to take, her husband's name. Now, before I go to the next guests, okay, so I'm told that Deborah Omotara, who is a community manager and coordinator at No Code Africa, has also joined us. Omotara, Deborah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll come to you, Deborah, in a while. Now, Mojolaoluwa, I'd like to ask, is it wrong for a woman to reject her husband's name and prefer to retain her father or lineage's name?
So from my own area, I would say traditionally it is right for a woman to take up her husband's name after the wedding. But then more of these days, people have tried to find a way around it to make sure that both the father's name, the woman's father's name, and the husband's name are still coexisting together. So they will have a compound name whereby they will have the two. But traditionally, I won't say I'm a traditional person generally, but I believe that it is just right to go with the husband's name because they are marrying. It's still depending on what each person looks like. Now, when it comes to the celebrity, it's a bit different because that's like a name that sounds as their brand, what they are known for, why growing and why becoming a celebrity. So it is hard to change that at some point. But then there is the official name, there is the maybe social media name and all of that. But I will still go with the take that it is right for the woman to take the husband name after marriage.
Are you saying this because it's what you grew up with, what you're used to?
It's not. I feel like this is both on a personal level and also ethical level, based on the way it is. I am a Yoruba man. I go with the idea of a woman going with the husband name. It's not about the power, it's not about the dependence or equality or something. It is just, I think that is the way it's meant to be. Only for some reasons, maybe maybe the person is a celebrity or a name that the person has been using for major things. To now change it may now cause like an imbalance. We can take that as okay, that is the only exception, but normally everybody it should be the norms. Like go with your husband and once you get married.
Okay. All right, let me get
shows.
Deborah's opinion as regards this. I mean, looking at African culture, of course, juxtaposing that with the foreign culture. Deborah, how do you see it? We have a Beyonce Knowles and a Carter, that's Jay-Z, who are said to be power couples, both retained their individual names, and they're doing it big in the entertainment industry. We have Olu Jacobs, and of course, the wife. They both, share different names. They did not merge the names, and they are said to be power couples too in the movie industry. And of course, when you look at a marriage setting, you would say that this is an ideal union that one can dwell on if one is to say that, okay, a union is successful. From your perspective, how do you see it? Is it a big deal for a woman to say, okay, I'm married to this man, then I should take his identity by adopting his name?
Okay, thank you very much. First off, I would say the thing is, let me say, it's not a big deal. It's an agreement. Marriage is all about an agreement. So if two people are coming together to say, we want to take our surnames, we want to take individual surnames, it's okay. And if the other person is saying, I want you to take my surname, that is a thing of agreement. Like the person who earlier spoke before Ogunmola said something, it is traditionally not a thing in Nigeria, even in Africa, for you to, let me say Nigeria actually, so I don't know in other cultures, but in Nigeria, it is not traditionally compulsory for you to actually take your husband's name. So that's why we have a lot of women today, even though they are married, despite the fact that they have built a personal brand online, they still retain their name, which is maybe Funke Akindele and the likes of that. They just retain it because that's their brand, that's their identity. So if there's a conversation between them and their partner to say, oh, I want you to take my surname, if they agree upon it, they can do it. So it does not now make a norm, right? It doesn't make a norm for you to say, oh, it's compulsory, you have to do it. If you don't do it, I've seen people call off marriages because the lady says, or the guy is angry because the woman doesn't want to take his surname. It's not, it's supposed to be a mutual understanding. So if we have people, even the colonizers who brought this entire idea into Africa, not doing it, so what put us under that form of compulsion to actually say we have to bear the husband's name? For like many, like the latest wedding, going viral online, Mrs. Ajibade, I'm sure it's a form of agreement which she's comfortable with, and it's all about agreement basically when it comes to surname. And changing surnames for women is harder, especially with the bureaucratic system we have in Nigeria. You have to use so many days trying to apply and do this and do that. So if it's okay for the couples to stay on using their personal name, then I think it's okay. It's okay. It's a matter of agreement. It's not a compulsion.
All right, Olive. So some people have actually said that this name adoption and all could be a deal breaker. It's part of what Deborah also mentioned. But then you still want to consider what, when you look at it from the biblical angle, that a man will leave his family and cleave unto his wife, and both of them shall become one. where is the unity? Where is the oneness? Where is the agreement when they still have to live and lead two separate names? Then the other side of this is for the children. How do they come to the realization that the mother bears this name, their father bears this name? Fine, definitely the child belongs to the father, so to speak, in some climes. But when you look at some other climes in some other countries, the children are more tilted by law to be in custody of the wife. So that when we have these ideological divides, where is the meeting point for what we call unity?
I was happy because he said, the in the Bible, a man shall leave his wife and his mother and father and cling to his wife. It's very interesting because the Bible does not say cling to a wife that must take your surname. It could actually be you who takes the wife's surname because the Bible says cling to your wife, right? You cling to her now. People, just my people. That's what it means. But I'm not religious, so that doesn't really apply to me. I don't factor religiosity into my argument. But for people who are religious, it's the same. There is nothing wrong with a woman who wants to follow tradition and go by. And what the problem is, I myself, I'm a young feminist woman, and I advocate for women being their own person, keeping their own identity. I think everything is wrong with you getting married and changing your surname as a feminist woman, as a woman who believes in the equality of women to men. I think everything is wrong with that. But people don't agree. People think that what it means to be a feminist is to let people choose, let people do the things that they want to do. I don't, that's not my own definition of feminism. Sorry, I digress a bit. But yes, when it comes to the question of, okay, so what happens with the children and everything? Like I said, I know a couple who got married. There is no one way to do this thing. The argument that I really am not a fan of is when people argue that you could do it. When people say it is the traditional thing to do, it's a natural thing to do. Why? Who made that rule? And why can't anything else be accepted? Why do we not entertain the thought that other people could want to do other things? Because there are different things to do. I know a couple who took each other's name. So both of their surnames are now hyphenated. The man took the wife's name, the wife took, so the children now have a surname that they can all take. Arguments have been made that, okay, so what if the daughter of this couple now get married again? Now she has two surnames, and is she not also going to have those surnames? Nobody has all of the answers, but we need to be very open. We need to be very open to the idea that new things can happen, new things should be introduced. Like I myself, I'm not a very big fan of my surname, to be very honest, but it is my name. I'm not going to do anything about it. If I want to change my surname, I'll go and change my surname based on my own personhood. The fact that I don't like it, I want to change it. So I go do that by myself. What? Because I'm not going to waste around now and say, okay, let me get married. So I will not get a new name from the man that I married. What about me? What about my choices? I can make my own decision as a full human being that I am. My choices should not be dependent on when a man gives me a new name. So the couple can decide to give the children a name that they both come up with. People are now getting married and their new family are taking on a whole different surname from the surnames that the mother and the father have always known. Young couples do that now because they want to create a new name for themselves. You can also just simply, this is a very simple alternative. Keep your name. When people decide to have children, the children can go by either both your names, go by either the father's name or the one that I'm a very strong advocate for right now, because women are the ones who go through the pains of childbirth. Take the mother's name. What's wrong with the mother's name? I don't think the children belong to the father because they don't do anything when it comes to childbirth, honestly speaking. My whole new thing now is to advocate for children taking the mother's name. Go and sit down the father. What did you do?
Well, you don't believe that the children belong to the father. So the children belong to who?
To the mother. I'm the one who gave birth to them.
Okay, no problem. Olive, thank you so much for your response. We are still going to go. We're going to go on a short break. We are going to discuss more, most especially from the angle of feminism that Olive mentioned, because a lot of men, including women, are averse to that particular ideology, and part of the ideology of feminism has to do with equality, women having equal opportunities, the opportunity to live, to make decisions, to enjoy their lives as much as men do, to have control, not control for ulterior motives, but then to be in charge of some certain things. And for some men, they see that as a problem. And part of that is, why should a woman, whether or not she has made a name for herself in whatever industry, she needs to retain her father's name? So these are parts of the issues that a lot of men have problems with. And we are going to delve into that when we go on a break and return in a bit. So you're watching Fafanua Africa. Do stay with us. We'll be back. So the internet was taken aback when Temi Otedola, the daughter of Nigeria's business mogul, Otedola, actually decided to adopt her husband's name after their wedding, and she now bears Temi Lola Ajibade. Yes, and a lot of people are asking the question, why would she do that when she has a name that is influential and can open doors? A name that can break into every enclave and every barrier and every circle and make things happen for her. Why take up the name of another man? Though we know that Mr. Eazi, the husband, is someone that has also made a name for himself in different spheres of endeavor. As a matter of fact, according to reports, he is a billionaire in naira terms. He's a musician, and he has a lot of investments in real estate and some other businesses. So there have been questions around whether or not this is an African culture or a foreign culture, and how that affects gender roles, the independence, agreements, unity, the success, the failure, so to speak, of a union when it comes to name adoption and identity. And so I've been talking to Olive Chiemerie, who is the founder at Guinea Kamwai. I hope I actually mentioned that correctly. And of course, I have Ogunmola Mojolaoluwa, who is a social media manager and digital strategist. And I also have Deborah Omotara, community manager and coordinator, No Code Africa. And they have been sharing their thoughts on this particular topic on Fafanua Africa. So we'll pick it up from the point where Olive talked about feminism, which is, of course, our ideology that a lot of people, or some people, are not really attuned to. And I'll bring that to the doorstep of Mojolaoluwa. Would you consider feminism a deal breaker for you? Do you consider it ideal? Do you consider the possibility of you marrying a woman who carries or wears that mentality of being a feminist that could actually affect your personality or your authority as a man in the house?
At first glance, it clashes with what a man stands to be traditionally. African tradition often centers around male as the authority, while feminism is balanced, it emphasizes on equality, and man is saying it's authority. But then many philosophers have seen it as, in Nigeria, have seen this feminism as a pre-colonial thing that comes from the Western world, that women are equal. Now, I would say that the balance to it mainly is self-respect. Now, the tension today is between the colonial influence and what the African traditions sound to be is the clash between authority and equality. They can be compatible, because when a man is seeing it in a direction of, I respect this person, I respect her choices, I respect everything she needs to do, and she also respects me as an authority, then equality is not far-fetched. So now there was a point about she reason that a man does not own the children. Yes, both of them, the couple owns the children together at the same time. It's equal rights, equal position. But then it is also very, very knowledgeable, and there's wisdom in it when the woman give a certain form of respect to the man. In that way, she does not need to put it to him again or say we are equal. Give it respect. Then the mutuality, the equality will come in directly from it. The idea of being feminist and saying women are equal, they need to stand their point, they need to. I believe if there is mutual respect between both gender, there will not be a need for that drive. There will not be that commotion or conflict of ideas about being equal or not equal. There are some certain things a man is supposed to do, even in the economy, even in the society, job-wise. Now, these days we have been having a balance whereby there are some careers that it is said to be that it's a man's career before, but now women are doing well at it. Now, I'm not talking from that direction. Now, there are some things that are best fit for men to do. Now, let's bring it back to the family so that we'll not go off point. Now, there are some, even in the family, there are some things that are fit that, okay, this is what a man should do. This is a man's responsibility. Now, bringing it into it that there is not equality, there need to be this, we have both equal stands and everything. It will change the buffer of things, it will change balances. So the best way and approach I'm going to give to it is mutual respect. If I respect your view and you respect mine, even when it comes to name, you say you want to retain your name, I respect your decisions about it. It does not take anything from a man when a lady does not take your name. It does not change who you are, it does not change your value as far as he has a good reason for that. How much as maybe she built on that name, built a career, gone to school and built something for herself. If she wants to retain the name as an identity, it is good to go. So when there's mutual respect, the issue of feminism or authority or equality will not even be in play. It will just be a flow, a free flow. Thank you.
Okay, Deborah, I'd like to also get your opinion on this. Feminism, according to what we've heard or we see, is a borrowed culture. And also, according to what you and Olive have said, name adoption for a woman after marriage is also a foreign culture. But then we see these things creeping into our social systems, into our lives as Africans, as youths on this continent. People are beginning to imbibe this culture. Is this something that we can accept? Is this something that we can probably modify? Is this something that we can adopt that will not change the orientation of what we actually grew up into knowing? Is it safe to, imbibe these kind of ideologies?
Well, in the aspect of it, it's safe. Just be like for any form of revolution, it takes a courageous heart. For you to say, I do not want to take my husband's name, there's already, look at this latest couple now, there's just so much on them just because of a single change. So it's adoption, acceptance in the society is going to take a lot of change of orientation for people. You trying to tell people that no, this was not originally existing. So we just borrow this culture and we are all enjoying it. Everybody is just like, this is the normal, and we just went on and on for decades. So it's being acceptable, I cannot guarantee like even the 70%. In fact, that's too much. 30% of persons will not agree to actually say, oh, let's just use, let us not use our husband's name, or when you get married, changing of the name. Most people will tilt towards, I want my husband's name. It is not, maybe just because that's what we really saw, growing up, and everybody just likes the fact that when you get married, you get to change your name. It's a change of status, even societal, in the society rather, everybody just say, oh, she's now Mrs. This. It's very, it's very beautiful and has a way of, just putting you on another level and distinguishes you in the society. And let's not forget that the society is full of this class ratio. So everybody wants to fall into a particular class. I want to be classified as a married woman because now it's obvious my name has changed. Even Funke Akindele, when she got married to her previous husband, she, puts her husband's name in a compound together with Funke Akindele Begu. So it's just a thing that people love. So it's been acceptable in the society. I cannot really guarantee that, but is it safe? Yes, it is, because it kind of gives you an opinion, right? You want something to be done in more like for yourself, for you. And in a situation where you have probably built a brand with that name, everybody knows you to be this. Even the funny part is that when you change your name as a married woman, because of what you have built, I don't think it changes who you are. It doesn't change what you have achieved. It doesn't change people following you. It doesn't change anything really. So we have the likes of Ibukun Awoshika, we have the likes of PFA who adopted their husband's name, and they still retain the level of value that they have. So the question should be, are you doubting yourself enough to feel like changing my name automatically changes who I am? So those are the questions that person needs to answer to say, oh, it's not really a big deal. Whether I'm bearing this person's name or that person's name, it is not a big deal, really. It's just how we see things differently. So it comes from a place of mutual understanding. Okay, we choose to do this, let's do it together, and it makes us happy. It's really a free world, so nobody is like going to make it compulsory to say, okay, you have to do this. So if new families are emerging and they are saying, no, we don't want to adopt our entire family name, we want to, have a different name, it is possible. You don't need to convince someone else or force someone else into that ideology. It is what you want, so just do it for yourself. So there's no need saying, me changing my name, it changes who I am, it changes. No. I feel if you know who you're worth, if you know your value, there's you changing your name from maybe Omotara now to something else does not affect who you are, as long as you have built that value over a period of time. So its adoption might be slow, but no one should kind of, I don't know, maybe kind of put a compulsion on it. It's like what we want to do individually and that fits everybody's status quo.
Okay, all right, Deborah, thanks for your comments. Now, Olive, I'd like to find out, we're still going to dwell more on this issue around feminism anyway. And some people would say, or I've heard a couple of people come out to say that feminism or feminist ideals cannot thrive in an African context where tradition is said to be held on strongly to in terms of beliefs, in terms of rights, in terms of, what our customs say, so to speak. And of course, when you look at it from the angle of human excesses, and you have someone who would probably always want to have a rights, always want to make sure that what she says stands in a home that both should come together to agree. Do you think that this can actually make homes more successful in terms of holding on to feminist ideals? Olive.
One of the first things that I wanted to talk about right before I go into the question you asked me is the Temi Otedola angle. My argument on that, sorry if I'm going back, has never been because she is Otedola's daughter. That's never been it for me. Temi, outside of being Otedola's daughter, has gone ahead and built something. Even though she started building the thing with her father's name, she's gone ahead and built something outside of her father that is hers, that is the Temi Otedola brand. And even if Temi Otedola was not Temi, my thing with Temi Otedola is because of who she is, not because of her father's name. It's because of how influential she is. It's because of the fact that Temi is an influencer, a very powerful, highly paid African woman who the single decision to not take the Adeleye surname would have been such a proper, beautiful 10 over 10 argument for the feminist advocacy. It would have been incredible. It would have been such a yes. Even she did not take her husband's name. So how can you expect me to take my husband's name? But now because she did a very traditional thing to do, which is her right to. I'm not nobody saying she did not have the right to. It just did not make for a very good argument. Because the problem that we're talking about is not just a matter of what you choose to do. There are actual women who are dying because they refuse to take their husband's name, because they refuse to cook, because they did not cook on time, because they did not do what is expected of them to do. This is like real people who are actually, their lives are at risk. This is not a matter of what you choose to do or whether homes are breaking apart because women are waking up and saying that this is not how you should treat me. This is not how I should carry on. This is not how a person who, there is nothing wrong with me that I have to be under you. There's no reason why I cannot also say things and you listen to me. Women are dying. An artist in Uganda, I think it was last year, that her husband set her on fire because she did not cook. Or something. Like, this is the real life consequences of these conversations that we have. And when we lose ammunition, because when a highly placed woman who comes from a home where if she did not take her husband's name, nothing would have happened to her, goes ahead and does the traditional thing, we lose ammunition and we are allowed to be upset about that. So this is me addressing that bit. And also to answer your question, the bit about what it does in the home. I'm sorry, could you please ask me that question?
Yes, I was only asking, I actually asked if, women who have feminist ideals can actually be successful in homes. When you have that ideology, does it...
Okay, so what that means is, thank you very much for asking that question again. There's a school of thought that feminist women have the best marriages, actually, because by then you can decide, and set the terms. So the thing is that as a young woman, once you become a feminist, one of the things you set your mind to not do, not because you can't do it, but to not expect it to happen in your life, is get married. Because marriage is a very patriarchal, traditional institution. If you want to get married and you don't want to do it in a traditional way, you don't want to do it in such a way that your husband is still your head and everything, the pool of the men you are going to marry will shrink. One of the consequences, let me call it consequences of feminism, is that we find it very difficult to partner up, to date. Because young men don't want that. They don't want a woman who thinks that she is their equal. So that's one of the things that you lose out automatically. Your pool of the men that you can marry your partner with shrink. But if you decide to marry, what you do is you pull out from that pool, even like 30 men, out of all the men in the whole world, who are men you find eligible enough to marry, anyone you take out of that 30 men, it means that you have at least a 50% chance of setting the terms of your marriage. You can decide how many children you want to have, which is a luxury that many women cannot. Let us not forget. It is men who do not carry pregnancy, who do not lose their lives giving birth to children, that get to decide in Africa how many children the family will have. Mind you, the only thing they perform there is like 2 minutes and they're out. You have 9 months and probably the rest of your life to deal with the consequences of that pregnancy, but you don't even get to decide. So
but the man too has years to have to take care of the child too. The man is also responsible for the child's growth for years.
Really? Oh yeah.
But basically, that's what it is. That's what makes the argument that men are deadbeats when they're not there to cater for the child in terms of growth, nurturing, providing for the child's needs, sending the child to school, and isn't that part of the problem that most women talk about?
My argument is about the biological toll pregnancy takes on women, not in terms of finances.
Okay.
Right now.
All right.
So yes, that's what I'm saying, that you as a woman who gets to bear the consequences of this thing for 9 months plus.
All right.
There are women who still can't work properly because their hip broke or something when they were giving birth. There are women who can't hold their peas anymore because their bladder broke when they were having babies.
Okay,
there are women who can't remember things properly now because pregnancy came with memory loss.
All right, Olive, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Now, I'm going to come to Mojolaoluwa. Now, most of us as Africans grew up with the mentality that once a man is married to a woman, the woman should be in charge of the kitchen, cook, then do the laundry, wash clothes, do all the women kind of jobs. There are some home tasks or chores that are assigned to the men, some assigned to women. And part of for the woman is for her to cook, clean the house, wash the clothes, take care of the children when the man is out. But then when you go to foreign countries, there's a culture shock. You discover that it's more of a 50-50 thing. The man sometimes would have to do the cooking. The man sometimes would have to stay and take care of the children when the woman is out making money, and probably do laundries, do some other, jobs around the compound. Now, I'd like to find out, are these foreign cultures, compared to what we grew up with as Africans, things that we should retain, imbibe, and hold on to? Or it would be better for us to focus more on the African values that actually makes the man superior and makes the woman subservient to the man?
Thank you. So over time, that question has been a dialogue for debate about should we retain our traditional belief or take in the colonial belief. Now, both of these ideas have the pros and the cons. Now, if you look at the normal Western society, if you look at the rate of divorce there, the rate of failed marriages, it's very high. Like, a lot of people just get married, and when they are done, or maybe they are fed up, like maybe they have an issue, immediately they are going to the court to break it, to annul the marriage. Now, it's been common in that area. Now, in the previous years, whereby those civilizations and those ideas are entering into our culture, we see Nigerian taking up such a stance so much that the rate of divorce is rising, and a lot of imbalanced homes everywhere. Initially, let's say traditionally, in Nigeria, we have very less amount of divorce. In fact, it sounds like it's alien to us, like divorce, what's that, But then over time, things have changed. Now, I'm trying to look at both the good parts and the bad parts. But there are some marriages in Nigeria that definitely need those divorce. For example, look at the singles in Nashi that died due to domestic violence. If she had gotten the idea of, if this marriage is abusive, I can leave it, maybe she will still be alive now. Now, both areas have the balance. Now, here is what I'm going to bring in. The pattern in which there are some rules a man should do, a woman should do in the marriage, sometimes are not definite.
Okay.
It should be flexible. Okay, a man is cooking, does not say a woman owns the kitchen, she's the homemaker, does not say a man cannot cook. Because while the man was unmarried, being a bachelor, he could go to the kitchen and cook himself. But now he's married, he's saying, I cannot cook, I cannot do my laundry, I cannot do this. No, it is important for us to strike a balance and be flexible. She's tired, she can't do this. There's nothing stopping a man for stepping up and doing that. And now there are some things that traditionally looks like this is a man's work. Maybe you want to, a popular example is like you want to kill a snake around the house. Is it a woman that you send to go there? Or maybe there's issue with electricity, and is it the woman you have to go and take screwdriver and maybe...
Well, if the woman can kill the snake, and if the woman can kill the snake and probably she studied elect in school, why can't she? All right. So so I actually understand. We actually have time constraint right now. But then if there's anything we can draw from this conversation, it has to do with flexibility, understanding, agreement, and of course equal rights, because we're all humans, and we should also have a say in that union that we say it's something that I would like to have to make our lives better. So at this point, I must say a very big thank you to Mojolaoluwa, Ogunmola, and of course, Deborah Omotara and Olive Chiemerie for sharing your thoughts with us on this show this afternoon. Thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you for having us. Thank you very much.
All right, so that is the end of today's edition of Fafanua Africa. I believe you've learned one or two things. It's not about eroding or taking away the African culture from our systems, but then trying to find a common ground for growth and, of course, for happy living. I am Lekon Obanjo. Enjoy the rest of your day.